The sliding gates we install run on a track and have a motor that uses steel reinforced nylon gear racking fitted to the bottom rail of the gate that connects to an output gear wheel on the motor. Nylon is used because it is quiet and requires very little maintenance. For a sliding gate to have a motor installed, it must run freely for the entire length of the gate, that is, not bind up at all in the guide system, or contact the ground, as this could make the gate a lot more difficult to move. You can save the poor little motor from working a lot harder than it needs to by simply getting the gate running more smoothly in the first place, and it will reward you with many more years of service. A sliding gate must also have hard stops at either end, because you don't want it coming off its guides and falling over. What if your grandmother was standing next to it? The bottom rail of the gate needs to be extended so the motor can be installed off the driveway. If there isn't quite enough room for the gate to open, the amount the bottom rail is extended can be made less by choosing a motor with a certain type of system for setting the open and close limits. Some motors use strike plates at either end of the gate that contact an actuator on the motor, activating limit switches inside the motor to let it know when the gate is fully open or closed. In this case, it is open and requires about 200 millimeters of rack past the output gear, which makes little difference when the gate is open. But when fully closed, the extra 200 millimeters of rack or more needed by the strike plate requires that longer extension to the bottom rail and that bit of extra space for the gate to open. Other motors use different methods, such as an encoder for counting the motor's revolutions. These don't require any rack past the output gear, so the extension to the bottom rail can be shorter. Other things that can affect the length of the extension to the bottom rail is the inclusion of a guide post that requires the motor to be positioned further off the driveway, and the angle of the driveway can affect not only the position of the motor either way, but the width of the main body of the gate too. It is best to draw everything up before making the gate to make sure everything fits. Our channel has many videos showing you what's needed, so please check these out. If you subscribe, you will always be able to come back and view these videos later. The size of the motor is determined by the size and weight of the gate and any slope across the driveway. Sliding gate motors are rated for the maximum weight of gate they are suitable for on level ground. So if you have a gate on a driveway that slopes across, you may need a larger motor, because the motor needs to push some of the weight of the gate uphill rather than just getting it moving on level ground, so needs to be a lot more powerful. Sliding gate motors don't have any anti-gravity facilities built in. Sorry. If not powerful enough, the motor can lose control altogether and let the gate run downhill at full speed, which is scary. We know, we've seen it happen, so it's important to get this correct. One thing to watch out for is cheap motors sold online that exaggerate the size of gate they're suitable for. We all know who sells these, and to be fair, we have tried some out to see what they were like, because we're always interested in keeping costs down, but found they simply couldn't handle the size of gate they were rated for and had many other issues. So we urge everyone to stay away from these. They simply aren't worth it. Best to pay a little more for a proven and reliable brand and a motor that is powerful enough for the job, Believe me when I say a sliding gate can be an absolute pain in the butt if it doesn't work properly, and if it fails will always do at the worst possible moment, leaving you either locked in or locked out of your property, or worse still, someone gets injured. The motor needs a good solid pad to mount to. Normally these are made from concrete and are poured at the same time as the footing for the gate, although it can be done afterwards if necessary. The size of the pad is determined by the size of the motor and a number of other factors. Please watch our video about installing footings for sliding gates for more information about this. Motors rated for gates larger than 1,000 kilograms will require a larger pad than that mentioned in our video about footings for sliding gates, although not much larger. It's best to check the dimensions of a motor before starting and make the pad at least 30% bigger than this. Most motors require the pad to be 50 millimeters or so below the bottom of the gate, so the rack fits onto the lower part of the bottom rail and aligns with the gear wheel on the motor. If the wheels are set up inside the bottom rail of the gate, the motor pad will be at the same level as the footing for the gate. If the wheels are mounted to the bottom of the gate, it will be higher off the ground and there'll be nothing for the rack to fit to, unless the pad is made higher, which can be difficult to do, and if too high is even more difficult to make lower again. So a common method is to pack the motor up using some metal box sections or a fabricated metal stand. If the gate is on a driveway that slopes across, the footing for the gate will be sloping, but the pad for the motor must still be level and should be higher than the footing so rainwater drains away from the motor, not around it, which means the rack may need to be fitted higher up to line up with the gear wheel on the motor. The pad can be made lower if necessary with some excavation, but needs to be suitably retained and drained. Motors are designed to handle rain falling on them but should not be submerged. The next thing to consider is getting power out to the gate. This can be done before the footing and motor pad are installed or afterwards. Can be mains voltage, low voltage or solar powered, depending on what's the most cost effective or suitable for the gate. There's also the topic of devices used to control the gate, such as handheld remote controls, intercoms, mobile phones, safety photo cells, in-ground vehicle detectors and a lot more. Much more than this video can cover. So will be the topic of other videos to come. If you want to catch these, please subscribe. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. This will help me make other videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.